With each passing day of the pandemic, the coronavirus seems to get more personal. The daily tally of those infected and those whose lives have been claimed include healthcare workers, first responders, plant and warehouse workers, elderly couples, veterans, cruise ship passengers, and grocery store employees, among others. We reflect solemnly on the fact that each digit in the daily ledger represents an innocent victim to the pandemic, a family member, a colleague, a friend, a neighbor. Many of us have come to know the faces behind these numbers. There were folks who had watched our children grow, who helped us when we were in need, who cared for us when we were home, who looked after our home when we were away, and who stood with us in sunny times and when storm clouds approached. With greater frequency, parents and dear friends and colleagues are falling victim. I cannot help but recall the many interactions I enjoyed with these family matriarchs and patriarchs, witnessing their joyful expressions when their children experienced meaningful accomplishments, feeling their parental pride when they rightfully boasted about their children's successes. I observed how their sons' or daughters' small acts of kindness or gestures of gratitude brought them enormous comfort or solace, and heard time and again how lucky they were to be supported or looked after by their children. I have been struck by a common refrain that those who have fallen prey to the virus's unrelenting march seemed so well early in the course of their disease, only to experience a rapid deterioration of their conditions and ultimately succumbed to the disease. For some, there seemed to be a sense of pervasive guilt that folks were alone in their final days. Circumstance had dictated it be this way, but it made solace all that much harder to find. There was resignation that a life well lived could not be appropriately celebrated. Condolence delayed leaves comfort absent. Life must go on even if proper closure must come later. For families who have been personally impacted by the pandemic's smothering grip, they move forward with an impressive resiliency, buoyed by the hope of coming together at some future point to hug and console those who grieve, and at the same time, to remember and celebrate those who have been lost to this deadly pathogen. No virus can or will take our humanity away from us. As I look to the days ahead, I've come to appreciate the gratitude in the words and actions of those who have paid the ultimate price to this pandemic. They help me and others to recognize how lucky so many of us are, for the moment, to have been spared by the ravages of the coronavirus. As we know, the situation would be far worse were it not for the social distancing measures under which we have been living these last several weeks. We must not let our guard down. The virus needs us to live and thrive. It breeds on complacency. It takes advantage of contempt. We deny its insidious passage if we continue the measures to thwart its transmission. Now, everyone is anxious to get back to work, to school, to activities, to community. I certainly am. This is understandable, as being apart is most unnatural, if not inhumane. However, going slowly now will allow us to go faster in the months ahead. Being prudent today will facilitate our being effective tomorrow. Until a time when we are smart and fortunate enough to develop treatments and vaccines that will stop the virus in its tracks, we must continue to maintain our own islands of distance, even as we contemplate constructing bridges of connection. I want to make note that as we go forward in these uncertain times, unfortunately, we'll be doing so without some of our valued colleagues, the result of furloughs implemented this past week. One is too many. But these times are difficult, and we've had to make many tough decisions we would have preferred to avoid altogether. I realize many in our community had to be on either end of challenging conversations this week. As always, I thank you for your professionalism, commitment, and understanding. One thing all of us can recognize is that our collective actions will determine our ambitious future. When advocating in times past for more dollars for research, many have claimed that all of us have been affected by cancer and that we should invest in research to find cancer's cure. Now, we can rightly state that all of us have been affected by this novel coronavirus and that we should redouble our education and research efforts as we mobilize to rewrite a new ending to what feels like a never-ending saga. You see, together, we can make the solutions to this pandemic as personal as the losses. Drawing upon the special talents and compassion of our medical school community, we can come together to support each other, to investigate treatments and find vaccines. We can reduce inequity and disparity, and while so doing, honor the memories of those taken from us too soon.